Hello and welcome back to the video. My name is Andrew Kuhn with Focus Compounding, and today we're going to be starting a new series called Thinking Like a Journalist, and we're going to be going over how to judge a business's durability. So if you listen to the podcast, you will know that Geoff and I always talk about this concept of thinking like a journalist instead of thinking like an investment analyst. Stocks are not just pieces of paper that flash around on a screen all day. They're fractional ownerships of real businesses with real assets and real managers. The way that we think about it when it comes to our investment process is really think about what could we figure out about a business that the 10K doesn't give you? Gone are the days where Warren Buffett in his early Buffett partnership days where you could find a company trading for like one-time PE, most cases, right? So what do we do, right? What do? We want to think like a journalist. We want to learn about the product outside of the 10K. And how do we do that? So we're going to be going over durability. And this is the first thing that we always do, because if a product isn't durable or the business isn't durable, forget about it. Put in the 2-hour pile. You shouldn't even be interested in it. When you value business, you're predicting its cash flows. If the product isn't durable, you're never going to be able to predict the cash flows, so just put it away. Warren Buffett has always talked about the case of Snickers, right? For the past 100 years, Snickers has been #1 when it's come to candy bar consumption by people. And you could pretty much bet with certainty that for the next 100 years, people are still going to eat Snickers. He uses that case also when he talks about Wrigley chewing gum. So for today, we're going to be talking about Parks America. We're going to stick with this company throughout this series that we do. I should have probably announced in the last video, Geoff and I do not own this company. It's a very small company. We did do a lot of research on it, but as of today's video, we do not own it. But if you manage a personal account, I would definitely do some research on this business. So is it durable, right? Is the product durable? What does the company do? They operate animal wild safaris. Think about exotic animals. Drive and walk through parks in Georgia and Missouri. It's very popular. Is it durable? The business has been around since 1991, at least the Georgia park, and then they acquired the Missouri park in 2008. So is it durable? Well, it's been around for a while. The company's economics are great, which we talked about in the last video. Check that out if you haven't seen it. So yeah, the overall business is probably durable. Is this something that technology is going to destroy? Is there an app that's going to replace the actual going and seeing animals and the enjoyment when it comes to kids and families? Most likely not. So I would say it is a durable. Have the companies always existed? Right? As I alluded to before, the business has been around since 1991, the other part 2008. They're still operating, so you definitely want to try to find all this information out. Sometimes they do not give it to you in the 10K, but you could Google around and you can find out a lot about the business. You want to think like a journalist. What do journalists do in situations when they're going to write up a piece for maybe a newspaper or a website? They want to know who's involved, right? How long has the business been there? What type of people go to this situation? They want to figure out pretty much everything from an outsider's perspective. You really want to keep that in mind. Next question. Had there been challenges before? What was it based on? Obviously, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. If there's been challenges before and they haven't been able to figure that out, you probably do not want to dig deeper. Maybe you do, but you just want to know what's going on. What have the challenges been? How did they do in 2008? This is all great information to know. Again, we're predicting businesses here, right? So you want to take all the data that you possibly can and extrapolate it out, right? You want to use everything in your arsenal when it comes to researching a company. So what have the challenges been before? Did they figure it out? Did they not figure it out? What happened? Who was involved? Why did this happen? How did that affect cash flow? You really want to think about all that stuff. Really, you just want to get to the main question, and keep this in mind when you're researching a company, is why is this going to continue in the future? Is this a fad? Right? Beanie Babies. Was that a fad? Probably. Yes. Pokemon Go. Was that a fad? Most likely. Is that going to continue in the future? I don't see anyone using Pokemon Go anymore, but kids are still interested in going and seeing animals at a walk-through zoo and seeing exotic animals. So you could feel pretty certain that people are still going to go here 10, 15, 20 years in the future. Snickers or Wrigley chewing gum. Are people still going to chew the gum or eat the Snickers? Most likely. So you want to find businesses that are like that, right? And when it comes to Parks America, here was a lot of questions that we went over and tried to figure out, which you can figure out just by Googling around, that was relevant to Parks America. What drives attendance, right? That's how they make money, is people go to these parks and they pay Admission prices, right? What drives that? What gets people going there? Does it go up on average? How affordable is it? You can find out how much the price of the Missouri Park and the Georgia Park is. Really, this is all outside of the 10K. This is just you thinking of like a journalist, right? What can you figure out about the business that's not in an annual report? Do people make repeat visits, right? You could go on TripAdvisor for both parks, and the reviews are fantastic for both of them, and you'll see people talk about how they've been going to this with their family for a very long time. People make repeat visits. That's very interesting, right? We want to know all this stuff. How long has it been there, right? And that kind of goes back to how long has the company existed. Does the Pine Mountain draw tourists, right? And this was interesting, and you could read about this on the website. Pine Mountain, I believe, has 2,000 to 3,000 is the population of the city, and the Missouri Park, the city that it's in, is only a little bit more. So what's bringing people here? These are all questions that you want to ask. You want to be very curious and always ask why, right? So what's bringing people to Pine Mountain? Do a Google search on Pine Mountain. Read the Wikipedia page. Pine Mountain's a very rural place. There's like I said, 2,000 to 3,000 people there. But if you Google it and you click the Wikipedia page, you learn about the origins of the city, you'll learn about the Callaway Gardens, which I don't know if I wrote down, maybe not. But the Callaway Gardens is a tourist attraction that brings over 750,000 people there a year to Pine Mountain, this little town. So what do people do when they go there, right? Just like you do when you are in places that you're not familiar with. You Google, what is there to do in Pine Mountain? Activities near me, right? And if you do that, and you can do this yourself, and I encourage everybody to do this, you'll see that the number one thing to do in this area is go to the Animal Wild Safari, which is Parks America, right? So you really want to think outside of the numbers. Think outside of the 10K. Become a consumer or customer, or whatever it is that you're studying. Even if you can't go there, go to YouTube, right? You can go to YouTube. I watched a bunch of different vlogs of people going to both Pine Mountain and the Missouri Park. Get a feel for it, So it was interesting. The population centers nearby. In Missouri, there's Branson, Missouri, which is, I think, about 90 to 100 miles away from the Missouri Park. And if you're familiar with the company, the Georgia Park does a lot better than the Missouri Park. And that's probably because Missouri, there's really nothing close by. But the Georgia Park, there's a Great Wolf Lodge that just got built, I think 17 minutes away. And then there's also, like I said, the Callaway Gardens, right? Go and look at satellite images. What's around? See, is there a major highway? Do people just come pass by through here? I mapped out to see how far the Great Wolf Lodge is away from the Georgia Park. It's only 17 minutes. I mapped up to see how far the Callaway Gardens is. It's all within 20 minutes. This is all drivable stuff that's bringing people to this area. You don't find this in the 10K, right? Will people continue to do this? Absolutely. How durable is kids' interest in animals, right? Zoos, walk through safaris, parks. You could bet with pretty high certainty that kids are still going to be interested in this, in the future. There's, like I said, iPads aren't going to take away from that. So this is something that's very interesting. And this is the first thing that we think about. Again, because even before you go into quality, capital allocation, the value, everything, if the business isn't durable, you shouldn't be interested in it, right? And that's the way that Geoff and I think about it. So next thing I want to go over is TripAdvisor, right? See what people are saying about the business. Like I said, go onto YouTube. Go on the Glassdoor. Read about what the employees say about it, right? Try to get within the business. Really think like a journalist to break down the business, right? Why are people going to continue going here? Is this a fad? And is this a business that you could predict in the future? So that's it for today's video. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. If you like the content, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the YouTube channel. As I said, we are going to be pumping out 3 videos a week in the future. Right over here, we're actually building kind of a new studio, so we're going to see how that turns out. We're hoping that it'll be good for videos. I actually ordered a new whiteboard and a bunch of new lights so we could get pretty professional on it. So I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. If you're not familiar with me, go to focuscompounding.com or follow me on Twitter @FocusCompound, where I put out tons of investing content. We have a podcast, which is Focus Compounding, on either Podbean or your podcast app. If you have an iPhone, definitely check us out there. We have over 106 different episodes on everything investing related. So I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in with today's video, and I will see you in the next video.